The Earth is becoming uninhabitable. Scientists are working to discover a new planet capable of supporting human life by 2063. The movie begins, and a woman mentions on screen showing a planet. She explains that this is the best chance to find an inhabitable planet to colonize for the survival of species. Further, she expresses that a scouting mission to the planet should be sent as soon as possible. The voyage will take 86 years. The crew will reproduce on the ship, and their grandchildren will reach the planet. In the next scene, we see that through bioengineering, the crew is genetically being engineered by fusing the genes of leading scientists. Richard discusses the reasoning behind his plan, justifying why the crew will be specifically engineered for the mission, consisting of children raised and trained solely for its purpose. He thinks the younger the crew is, the longer the resources can be preserved, but Richard thinks that they might not be fully capable of dealing with the complexity of space travel on their own. Later, Richard, in full protective gear, enters a facility where the child crew is being raised. He enters the rooms where they live, and they all rejoice. Richard keeps track of their academic progress before putting Christopher, Sela, and Zach to bed. Zach expresses that he is afraid, but Richard assures him that he is secure. The next day, Richard is talking to a woman named Marianne, who is in charge of the mission. He explains that to raise and protect them, he should go with the children. Richard takes the lead as the mission is launched. The shuttle arrives at Humanidias to prepare the ship for the mission. They all get inside and find their quarters. Richard takes a view of Earth from the spaceship. 10 years later, the child crew is grown up. They get ready for the day to begin on the ship. The children are clearly adults. Fertilization for the second generation is covered in the first lesson, which will start in their 24th year of life. They're seen drinking a blue liquid. Christopher and Zach listen to classical music. Sela likes to look out at the space around them. Sela expresses this to Richard, saying that the lives of the crew are unimportant. Richard shows her pictures of his grandparents and tells her that saving for the future is critical. That night, Christopher can't sleep. He listens to the sounds of the ship. The next day, Richard and Christopher are in the hydroponics bay, and a message appears on Christopher's screen about toxicity in the water. He tells Richard about it. He thinks that it's a chemical that isn't being processed from their urine, but Richard ignores his concerns. He tells Zach about the ingredient 56G. During the night, both go to figure out about chemical. They discover that the blue liquid they consume contains chemical components that dull and docile them, lowering their pleasure and desire responses. They're being drugged and pacified to avoid overpopulating the ship. They both decide to stop drinking the blue liquid. Christopher has a session with Richard. He mentions an unidentified compartment pod 23, which might be for the third generation. Richard communicates with Earth, requesting that he share everything with the crew and be completely honest with them so that they do not lose faith in him. The next day, Zach grabs Sela, telling her that she's changed. Richard asks him not to grab her. Christopher and Zach are at the gym. They are seen wrestling and going a little too far. Both start feeling the effects of not taking the drug. They hear the ship's noises. They walk to an observation room where they find Edward, who tells them that it might be some kind of alien. Richard shows dried plants to Sela. Zach sees Richard touching Sela's shoulder and gets jealous. Richard informs them they have lost their contact with the Earth and that transmitter needs to be fixed. When they are preparing to fix the problem, Zach approaches Sela and he starts touching her inappropriately. Richard rushes in and pulls him away from her. Zach runs away. Richard meets Christopher and finds out that he stopped taking the drug as well. Richard tells him that the drug is implemented to stop precisely the type of behavior witnessed in Zach, Christopher, and Richard team up to fix the transmitter. All of the other crew members are in their positions on the ship. Zach gets into the systems room. Richard and Christopher exit the ship. They keep watching to see if anything else is outside. Something appears unexpectedly on the screen. Richard is thrown away from the ship by a strange, unseen force, which hurts him. The systems room has caught fire. Christopher brings Richard inside. They put him on a mechanical ventilator. The medical team and Sela try to save his life. Sela pronounces him dead. Later, the crew has a meeting where one of the crew members says he saw something on the monitor when it happened that looked like a force jumping into Richard, like it was something alien. Now they need to choose a new chief officer. Zach declares himself a chief, but the others say that they need an election. All of them vote for and place Christopher as chief officer. Zach is jealous but congratulates him regardless. They start working on repairing the transmitter. They hope the drives are not damaged. Sela goes to his office where she looks through his pictures and videos. Christopher arrives at the door. She tells him that she is destroying his personal archive of Richard. She shows him Richard's photographs and they talk about the importance of parents. He asks why Richard told her about his life. Later, we see Christopher looking at the crew members who are not working. Zach tells him that they're repairing the refrigerators to preserve the food. The bunch of food might go bad, so he asks him if they can have a feast to celebrate their new chief. After celebration, Kai informs others about blue water and asks others not to drink it, and they all dump it. Sela and Christopher are watching Richard's videos. Christopher feels increasingly attracted towards Sela. On the hydroponics bay, Zach is attracted to Julie. Both touch each other. The others look at them later. The crew can be seen having fun. They all look through Richard's personal archive. Sela finds them and asks them to leave, but they don't want to leave. Zach is the last to leave. Zach says that Richard isn't there to protect her. She goes back to the medical bay and picks up a scalpel for protection. Christopher catches Sela and touches her inappropriately. Sela threatens him with the scalpel. Zach arrives and objects, but Christopher asks him to stay away from them. Once again, when they hear a strange crackling noise, Kai sees Julie getting close to Peter, so he punches him off. Later in the dining room, Christopher tries to get the crew to behave, but suddenly Peter arrives and starts hitting Kai with a tool. Christopher stops him, and he asks everyone to hold Kai, and then he asks to meet in the common room. In the meeting, he tells everyone that the fighting has to stop and the reparations have to continue. Zach challenges him, and the others believe that they should not be doing the work because they will not finish the mission. Christopher says that their grandchildren will reach the planet. Edward says he doesn't want to work in the systems room because the alien lives there. He claims that Christopher brought it in when Richard died. Phoebe suggests that they repair the surveillance system and investigate what happened, but Zach dismisses her and tells Christopher to shut up as well. Zach says he doesn't care about the rules anymore. He tries to get the others on his side. Zach thinks of being a leader, so he tries to convince the rest of them to become a part of his group. Many of the crew members follow him, but some take Christopher's side. That group goes to the surveillance room to fix the system. Christopher goes in first to check. Zach and the others reach the systems room. Zach and Kai go inside the room. They go deeper inside the room to look for the alien. The ones on the outside see something happening inside, and Zach and Kai run out. Later, they tell the others that the alien attacked them. Christopher brings the surveillance drive to Sela in the medical bay. Christopher, with the help of his group members, checks the footage. They find the footage and realize that it was Zach and Kai who killed Richard by performing an electrocution on him, then lied about the alien. Christopher's group decides to remain silent until they figure out what to do. Christopher and Sela hide the drive in her room. They think that this is what they're really like without the drug. Sela asks Christopher to stay with her. They kiss and sleep with each other. Zach knocks on Sela's door. When she and Christopher open the door, Zach and Kai offer them another celebration. When they reach the dining room and sit down, Zach stands up and proclaims himself the new chief officer. Suddenly, Christopher stands up and goes to a monitor. He plays the footage from the incident. He shows the others how Zach killed Richard and that there is no alien. Everyone gets upset, Zach confesses, saying he did it to protect them because the alien was in Richard. He proclaims that the alien is inside the ship, hiding in one of them. Zach says that they need to find it and kill it. He sets them against each other. They think it's Peter and they start chasing after him. Christopher follows and runs to save him. Kai hits him first, then the others join. They kill Peter. Christopher leads his group to a safe location on the ship, while Zach's group enters the medical bay and arms themselves. Christopher's group thinks they should join Zach's group and try to detain him because his group has weapons. Sela realizes Christopher is aware of the weapons stored in a compartment on the ship. Christopher goes to find it. He opens the compartment and crawls inside, searching for it. He finds it, but he can't open it. Christopher gets out to get some tools to open the compartment. The other group arrives, and they open the secret compartment and take the weapons. 2 crew members from Christopher's group want to join Zach, who asks to find the rest of the members, who are hiding. Sela, Phoebe, and Christopher devise a plan to get close to Zach. Christopher thinks to kill him, but Phoebe doesn't agree. Sela watches them on the monitor and sees that they're moving, coming after them. They cut their power and reach the room. Sela instructs her group not to fight as the others storm the room and seize them. Sela stops them as they are dragging Christopher, and she asks Zach to talk privately. She promises to leave Christopher and offers to join Zach, but he rejects her offer. Phoebe appears, asking if they've all gone crazy, but they all tell her to shut up. Kai kills her to the shock of everyone, including Zach. Following that, they pursue Christopher, who flees with Sela. The others swiftly identify which vent they are hiding in. Zach shoots inside. Julie asks him to be careful because he's destroying their food supply. Christopher discovers a fire extinguisher while searching for weapons, and when Kai enters the medical bay, they kill him while rendering him unconscious. Zach spots them running away. He shoots after them. They reach into an airlock. Christopher asks Sela to get into a spacesuit. When Zach gets close to the door, he fires, and the hatch opens, and he is sucked inside. After grabbing Sela, he attempts to close the hatch. He fights with her and stabs her with a knife. Christopher pushes Zach outside the hatch, but he is pulled into space. Before Zach can close the hatch, Sela kicks him out of it. She searches for Christopher and suddenly sees him. She grabs him onto the ship. They tell others that Zach is gone. They put down their weapons. Later, we see all of the crew having lunch. Sela asks Christopher how they can prevent something like that from happening again. They listen to Richard's tapes in which he says that no matter what bad things happen, the ones who survive are proof that humans are worth saving. The recreates for a new chief, they choose Sela. The crew continues repairing the ship and working together. Christopher is the father of the child that Sela is seen carrying. The baby has been born. We see the first generation growing old and the second growing younger. 86 years later, Humanitas can be seen floating in space and engaging in its drive to land on the planet. Thanks for watching and subscribe for more videos.